Mr. Erickson, my computer says it's 9:30. I'm going to go ahead and hit start record. So hang on just a second. Let me just name it real quick. Okay, Mr. Erickson, we are recording.
Okay. We'll go ahead and begin then. This hearing of the New Mexico Department of Health will now come to order. I would like to welcome you to the public hearing on the proposed repeal and replacement of 16.11.2 NMAC Certified Nurse Midwives. My name is Craig Erickson, and I was appointed by Secretary Kathy Kunkel to act as hearing officer in this matter, and I'll be presiding over the hearing today. Assistant General Counsel Ann Washburn will be advising the department in this proceeding. As I indicated, in particular today, the department is set to repeal and replace 16.11.2 NMAC. Pursuant to notice, this matter is being heard this 26th day of October 2020 via Cisco WebEx online, and it looks like at least one person is participating via telephone. Pursuant to notice, the public has been given the opportunity to comment on the proposed rule via Cisco WebEx and telephonically, and also had the opportunity to submit written comments via email messages through the close of business today at 5 o'clock. Time is approximately 9:30 a.m. This proceeding is being held in accordance with NMSA 9-7-6E of the Department of Health Act, Section 24-1-2F, Section 24-1-3J, and Section 24-1-5B of the Public Health Act, as well as the default procedural rule for rulemaking found at 24.25 NMAC. And I see that we have a few people participating today. As I indicated, Ann Washburn is here on behalf of the department. Then Juliana Koob is also present. Ms. Koob, are you here on behalf of any particular agency or just representing yourself?
Yes, sir. Planned Parenthood of the Rocky Mountains, New Mexico.
Okay. And Catherine Avery, would you identify yourself as well, please?
Sure, I'm Catherine Avery. I am the Maternal Health Program Manager at the Department of Health, and midwifery licensing is a function under my program. So I am the licensing authority for certified nurse midwives and licensed midwives in New Mexico.
Okay. And then I can see that there's a woman named Katrina Nardini here. If you could identify yourself as well.
Hi, yes, Katrina Nardini. I'm a certified nurse midwife, and I'm contracted with the Department of Health, and I work with Catherine Avery in licensing and regulations.
Okay. And then I see a woman named Ellie Rushforth. If you could identify yourself. It looks like you're telephonically appearing.
Yes, I am. Good morning. My name is Ellie Rushforth. I am the Reproductive Rights Council of the ACLU of New Mexico.
Okay. Okay. And then finally, there's another person who appears to be appearing telephonically, but there's no name. Could you identify yourself as well?
Yeah, can you hear me or am I muted?
I can hear you.
Okay. My name is Catherine Naber-Farragle, and I'm a certified nurse midwife, and I work for Planned Parenthood of the Rocky Mountains.
Catherine, could you spell your last name, please?
Absolutely. It's K-N-A-U B as in boy, E-R hyphen F as in Frank, E-R-R-I-E-G-E-L.
So, is it pronounced Naber-Farragle?
Naber-Farragle.
Okay. All right, thank you. Well, let's go ahead and get started then. We'll proceed with the hearing in the following manner. First, Ann Washburn will give a brief introduction regarding the proposed rule amendments. And my understanding is she may have Ms. Avery comment on those as well. I'm not clear on that.
Yes, thank you, hearing officer. My name is Ann Washburn. I'm an attorney with the New Mexico Department of Health. What we're here on today is to make amendments to the 16.11.2, which is the rule governing licensing for CNMs. There are several important amendments that are being made to this. The rule was changed about 2 years ago, and we discovered some other changes that needed to be made. And so the CNM program has worked on speaking to members of the public and developing within the CNM program what those changes should be. And I'm going to call on Catherine Avery, who is the program manager, to discuss the purposes behind those proposed changes. Ms. Avery.
You may proceed, Ms. Avery. You're on mute, I think.
Yeah, I was muted. Sorry about that. In order to cover all the changes, I was going to read from the document that was latest prepared of the summary of changes. May I proceed with that?
Yes.
Okay. So the first amendment is to subsection A of 16.11.2.10 of the NMAC, scope of practice for a certified nurse midwife to include treatment of clients, in quotes, replacing the term male partners, in quotes, for sexually transmitted infections. This amendment's purpose is to allow for treatment of males for sexually transmitted infections who are not partners of female clients of the certified nurse midwife, thereby expanding healthcare access. The second amendment is to 16.11.2.7 NMAC to add definitions for the electronic professional licensing management system. This revision is necessary because the CNM licensing program has moved in the past year to an electronic system of initial license application and renewal. The second term, a definition that was added was lapsed license. The definition's purpose is to define the term used within the amendment to section 16.11.2.9 D, as in dog, as the term is used in describing the status of a license that has not been renewed on time. The third definition is opioid antagonist. This definition's purpose is to define the term used in 16.11.2.10, subsection C, 2K, NMAC, and mirrors the definition of an opioid antagonist existing in 16.10.14.7, Section J, NMAC, which is the management of pain and other conditions with controlled substances of Title 16, Chapter 10, Medicine and Surgery Practitioners, and the definition of this term in the Pain Relief Act. This is a class of drug that may be prescribed by this licensed professional. Reactivation and reinstatement were terms added and defined, and the purpose of these two definitions is to provide a clear distinction of potential processes to a license. The major distinction is that reactivation is to make a license active after a lapse status, and a reinstatement creates an active license after a disciplining period. We amended subsection C of 16.11.2.9 NMAC on the timing of when renewal applications are due. This amendment's purpose is to clarify for each CNM when the renewal application is due. We amended paragraph 3 of subsection B, boy, of 16.11.2.10 NMAC to add that controlled substances can now be prescribed electronically. This revision is necessary because the electronic prescribing of controlled substances, including controlled substances schedules 2 through 5, is legal in New Mexico, and this clarifies that electronic prescribing is legal. amending subsection K of paragraph 2 of subsection C of 16.11.2.10 NMAC, that a CNM shall comply with opioid antagonist prescribing practices as set forth in the New Mexico Pain Relief Act, which is NMSA 1978 24-2 D as in dog -2. The purpose of this amendment is to make sure CNMs are in compliance with the Pain Relief Act, which states that opioid antagonists should be prescribed in conjunction with controlled substances. Amendment 16.11.2.10 NMAC, we added section E, as in Edward, a requirement for immediate reporting of a neonatal or maternal mortality for those CNMs who work in a setting other than a licensed health facility, including fetal demises. The purpose of this amendment is to provide for review of fetal demise cases involving a CNM practicing in home settings. Amendment to paragraph 5 of subsection A of 16.11.2.11 NMAC and paragraph 6 of subsection A of 16.11.2.11 NMAC to clarify the grounds for disciplinary action involving a felony offense and added misdemeanor offense related to the practice of midwifery as grounds for disciplinary action. The purpose of the amendments to paragraph 5 and 6 are to clarify the type of convictions or agreed dispositions that may be considered grounds for disciplinary action or action against a license. The purpose of the added text is to mirror the grounds for disciplinary action found in the Nurse Practice Act, NMSA 1978, 61-1-28 and 61-1-30, which the CNM is already licensed under. The purpose of repeal and replacement is also necessary because the New Mexico Commission of Public Records has stated in its guide that a repeal and replacement of an existing rule is very helpful when a rule has been substantially rewritten and restructured, such that a detailed section by section comparison is not possible and may be confusing to the public.
Thank you. I see that we have at least one additional person who's joined as a participant during your comments, and it's Linda Siegel. Ms. Siegel, could you identify yourself, please? And I think you're on mute.
Hi, Linda Siegel. I represent ACNM, the New Mexico chapter.
Thank you. And then there's one other individual on the phone, and I'm not sure if they've identified themselves or not. I just want to make sure I have everyone identified. Who else is on a telephone? Hello? Well, whoever that person is not coming through. It looks like they're not muted, so I'm not sure what's going on there. But all right. At this point, then, we would move to address the exhibits. The state has proposed 8 exhibits. And Ms. Washburn, if you'd like to identify those exhibits and move for additional.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Hearing Officer. The list of exhibits is number 1 of the proposed rule in clean form. Number 2 is the proposed rule that is redlined for comparison. Number 3 is the notice of public hearing that was published. Number 4 is an affidavit of publication of that notice of hearing in the Albuquerque Journal. Number 5 is an affidavit of publication for the New Mexico Register. Number 6 was the affidavit of the paralegal of the notice given to the public. Number 7 is the letter appointing hearing officer. And number 8 is written public comments. And the Department of Health would move to have those exhibits admitted.
And they will be admitted. And I'd also like to indicate for the record that I understand that from, I believe it was Ms. Avery who said this, that a couple of additional written exhibits have been submitted. They will be admitted to the record as well. And as is typical of these matters, we allow until 5 o'clock business today for people to submit additional written comments if they would like to. Furthermore, the department on Friday sent me a summary of the purpose of the proposed repeal and replacement, and that's actually the document that Ms. Avery was just reading from. That's been, as I understand it, posted on the department's website and is in the Sunshine portal. And those documents will be admitted into the record as well when I receive them. I think we can proceed now to public comments, and let me just remind you of the rules of evidence. The department is not bound by the formal rules of evidence during these proceedings. However, the hearing officer may, under the rules and in his discretion, exclude evidence that is incompetent, irrelevant, immaterial, or unduly repetitious. The hearing officer may also take notice of judicially cognizable technical or scientific facts within the department's specialized knowledge. With that, I think we can proceed to public comments. And let's see, I'll just do it in the order that I see you appear on my screen. Ms. Nardini, did you have any comment you wanted to offer?
Not at this time.
Okay. And Ms. Rushforth, did you have a comment you wanted to offer?
Thank you, none at this time.
I'm sorry? I think there you go.
I'm so sorry. Thank you. I will not be commenting today. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Coop, do you have a comment you wanted to offer?
Sure. Thank you so much, Mr. Hearing Officer, and thank you to the DOH employees that work so hard on this rule. It's been, I know it's been a long time coming, and it's been a lot of work. First of all, I just wanted to thank DOH for understanding the consequences of putting gendered language into rules, not just for male patients that can be served by freeing up that specific gendered language, but also for patients who just do not identify as female or as a woman. So I think that change is super important. I would encourage that gender neutrality to be consistent throughout the statute. In the added section E for immediate reporting, you put in, Linda, you're not on mute, you put in language around the provider that is she, he, so it reads maternal mortality in patients for whom she, he has cared. I would urge this body to remove that he, she, and just put in the provider. It's so that it remains gender neutral throughout. We also at Planned Parenthood Rocky Mountains, New Mexico, urge just for consistency's sake, the use of the word client/patient throughout the rules. Sometimes it's put in as client/patient, sometimes it's just patient, sometimes it's just client. So just for consistency and clarity. Planned Parenthood Rocky Mountains is really appreciative of the substantive changes of removing gender because it does expand access. And for those reasons, we also urge the Department of Health to do the same removal of gender references to the licensed midwifery rule, which is 16.4.64.10.134. And then finally, while we understand the use that this body intends in using the word fetal demise, it opens up a can of worms that does not need to be opened. We urge this body to remove the language in section E, the new language, and just strike this includes fetal demises. By striking that, you still have the intent that's needed covered in the prior sentence, which would then read, a CNM must report within 48 hours to the division any neonatal or maternal mortality in patients for whom the provider has cared in the perinatal period in a setting other than a licensed health facility. and then just drop this includes fetal demise. It still is inclusive of what you're trying to get at without getting into language that is specifically used when providing abortion care. Thank you, Mr. Hearing Officer, and I'm available for questions if anybody has them.
Thank you, Ms. Koob. The next individual that appears on my screen, I'm sorry, your whole name is up here. Ms. Albert, did you have anything you wanted to offer?
Sorry, I had to unmute. Yes, thank you. So I just wanted to, I agree with everything that Ms. Koob said. I think that the gender language is incredibly important, and I think that just the rule change as it stands now, including women and their partners, will have a huge positive impact on the access of healthcare to the people in our community, which is the ultimate goal, I think, of all of us, is to increase the access and quality of healthcare, and this part of the rule change directly affects the access that our community has. And I think that's important, and I support it. That's it.
Thanks
Thank
very
you for
much.
the time to speak.
Ms. Siegel, did you have a comment you wanted to add? You're on mute, Ms. Siegel.
No, I have no comments. Thank you.
Okay. And then finally, there is one individual on the phone. I don't know who that person is. Could you identify yourself, please? Again, it just shows the phone icon. It doesn't show that you're muted, but if you're speaking, we can't hear you through the WebEx system.
Mr. Erickson?
Yes.
Mr. Erickson, this is Catherine Avery. I noticed that tile of rest, star, and a series of stars in ED in the very beginning of the session, and Catherine Nauber-Ferrigal then went on to introduce herself. I think she might represent, she might be, we now have her name indicated on one of the tiles, but I think that rest ed tile is her as well. Sometimes, a person has two tiles when they call in. So I don't think we have an extra person not identifying themselves. I think those two tiles, Catherine Nauber and then the rest ed tile, are both Catherine Nauber. There we go.
Yeah, I think that's true. Sorry, my phone audio doesn't, or my computer audio doesn't work, so I
Just
called on
wanted
the
to
phone.
clarify.
I apologize.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, just wanted to clarify that. Thanks, Catherine. Thanks, Mr. Erickson.
Whoever was speaking just then was breaking up a lot, so I'm not sure what they said.
I believe it was me finishing up the explanation about the fact that I don't think we have an unidentified caller on the session. I believe those two tiles are both
Yes.
Catherine Nauber's.
Yeah, I understood that. Thanks. I appreciate that.
Okay.
All right. I think then that covers the public statements. We've asked each person if they wanted to make any public statements. What happens here is I will be drafting a report and recommendation that goes to the acting secretary, making recommendations regarding the matters that I've heard today and the written comments that are received. And I'd like to thank all of you who participated in this rulemaking hearing today. We appreciate your comments and your efforts to participate. And I think, Ms. Washburn, unless there's something else, I think that covers it.
No, sir, I think that's all.
All right. Thank you again for your participation. We can go off the record now.
Okay. Sorry, it's so tiny. The recording has stopped. The recording has stopped. Oh, Katrina, I was going to ask you a question. Okay.
I'm not sure if I'm supposed to exit or if this is continuing.
No, it has stopped. The recording has stopped. I'll get out of it. Thank you for participating.
Okay, thank you so much.
And Katrina, I'll call you in just a minute. Thank you.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.